Hello students, I am Sachitrakar. Welcome to Cars Physics. We are continuing chapter number 2, electric potential and capacitance, and this is my lecture number 20 on the chapter. In previous lecture, means in lecture number 19, we have discussed capacitance of a spherical capacitor, but we have discussed capacitance of spherical capacitor using concentric spheres. One is inner sphere and other is outer sphere having a common center. That's also meaning of concentric spheres. Okay. In this lecture, we'll discuss capacitance of cylindrical capacitor, capacitance of cylindrical capacitor of infinite length. Okay. Capacitance of cylindrical capacitor of infinite length. Okay. Just recall. We have discussed electric field. Electric field due to a linearly charged conductor of infinite length. Okay. Linearly charged conductor of infinite length. Okay. We'll use the concept. Let's think first. So, if we use concentric spheres, then charge is given to one sphere, then other sphere is earth. Charge is given to one sphere and other sphere is earth. So we have discussed two cases. Inner sphere is earth, charge is given to outer sphere, or outer sphere is earth, charge is given to inner sphere. Okay. Let's consider two concentric cylinders. We'll think how charge will be given and how another cylinder will be earth. But general consideration, cylindrical capacitor of infinite length. Okay. Let's consider this is a cylinder. This is a cylinder of infinite length. This is axis of cylinder. This is axis of cylinder, and the radius of cross-sectional area of this cylinder is, let A. Let's take R1. Radius is R. Let's take R1. Radius of cross-sectional area of this cylinder is R1. Okay. Let's assume another cylinder of greater cross-sectional area is used having common axis. Okay. Let this cylinder is A and this cylinder is B, and radius of area of cross-section of cylinder B, let R. Okay. This is axis. Radius of area of cross-section of inner cylinder is R1. Radius of area of cross-section of outer cylinder is R. And both are infinite length. Okay. So here an assumption, let lambda is uniform charge density. Uniform linear charge density. So charge is given to one of the cylinder and other cylinder is earth. So whatever charge is given, charge density is lambda, and lambda is charge per unit length, linear charge density. Okay. So we don't know how much charge is given because the length of cylinder is infinite. Cylinder of infinite length. Let charge is given to inner cylinder. Means charge is given to cylinder A. This is cylinder A. Okay. Again, the general consideration as we have discussed while considering concentric spheres. Okay. This inner cylinder means cylinder A is made up of conducting material. It may be hollow or may be solid. The inner cylinder is made up of conducting material. It may be solid or may be hollow, whatever may be. But outer cylinder B, made up of conducting material, but it's a hollow cylinder. Okay. So the outer cylinder B is a hollow cylinder but made up of conducting material, so that we can keep another cylinder, means inner cylinder, inside that of outer cylinder. So this must be hollow cylinder, but cylinder A, inner cylinder, may be hollow or may be solid. Both are made up of conducting material. So if charge is given to this cylinder, means inner cylinder A, then whole charge will be distributed on the surface. Whole charge will be distributed on the surface. So charge is distributed on surface of inner cylinder. Charge is distributed on the surface of inner cylinder, and lambda is uniform linear charge density. So we may write lambda is equal to charge per unit length. Linear charge density, coulomb per meter. Coulomb per meter, charge per unit length. We don't know how much charge is given because the length is infinite. Okay, lambda is charge per unit length. So for infinite length, whatever may be the charge, we have taken linear charge density lambda. Okay, charge is given to inner cylinder and outer cylinder is earth. Outer cylinder means cylinder B is earth. Again we know earth is taken to be at zero potential. Earth is taken to be at zero potential, and any body in conducting contact with earth also becomes zero potential. So potential of earth is zero. So potential of surface of cylinder B is also zero since it is earthed. Okay, you do understand well? Okay, let's proceed. So what we have taken? Capacitance of cylindrical capacitor of infinite length, and lambda is uniform linear charge density. Lambda is uniform linear charge density, charge per unit length. Okay. See, if this is positive, cylinder A is positive, then as we know, outer surface of cylinder A is positively charged. Means charge is distributed on outer surface. So charge density is lambda, charge is positive, so linear charge density is plus lambda. Okay. So just recall about the concentric spheres. So if outer surface of inner cylinder given positive charge and uniform linear charge density is plus lambda, obviously inner surface of outer cylinder will have induced charge that should be minus lambda. Okay, plus Q minus Q, plus lambda minus lambda. Okay, then just think, the inner cylinder A is made up of conducting material. So for a conductor, no charge remains inside the body. Okay, just inside cylinder A, if you imagine a Gaussian surface, inside cylinder A, if you imagine a Gaussian surface, then here Q inside is 0. So electric field inside A is 0. So electric field inside cylinder A is 0. Since there is no charge inside cylinder A. So electric field is zero. Or you may say directly, inside the conductor there is no electric field line, hence no electric field in most easier way. Okay. Then this is cylinder B. If you imagine a Gaussian surface outside cylinder B, then also electric field outside of cylinder B is zero. Why? See, this is plus lambda, this is minus lambda. So resulting linear charge density is zero. Resulting charge density is zero. So there is no charge outside of cylinder B. So there is no electric field. As we know, according to Gauss law, E dot dA is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times of the charge enclosed, means charge inside. So inside this imaginary cylindrical region, means Gaussian surface, there is no charge. So charge is zero. So electric field is zero. So electric field inside cylinder A is zero. Electric field outside cylinder B, is also zero. Okay. Electric field inside cylinder A is zero, and electric field outside cylinder B is also zero. Is it clear? You imagine a Gaussian surface inside cylinder A. Inside cylinder A, there is no charge. Whole charge is distributed on the surface of cylinder A. Since inside there is no charge, there is no electric field. Again, on the surface of inner cylinder A, linear charge density is plus lambda. So this is minus lambda. So sum of plus lambda and minus lambda is zero. So if you imagine another Gaussian surface outside cylinder B, outside cylinder B, then there is no charge outside cylinder B. So electric field is zero. Keep it first in your mind. Okay. I am erasing this part. See what we get. Linear charge density is equal to lambda, that's equals to charge per unit length. What we got till now, electric field inside cylinder A is zero. Electric field outside cylinder B is zero. Okay. Let's again draw this for clarity of your understanding. This is inner cylinder of infinite length. This is outer cylinder, again of infinite length. Okay. This is axis, common axis. This is cylinder A, this is cylinder B. Radius of area of cross section of cylinder A is R1. Radius of area of cross section of cylinder B is R2. So charge is distributed on the surface of inner sphere. Okay. Charge density is plus lambda, and induced charge appears at the inner surface of outer sphere, and this is minus lambda. This is minus lambda. This is plus lambda, and this is minus lambda, and outer surface is R. So potential on surface B is zero. Then where electric field is existing? Outside cylinder B is zero, inside cylinder A is zero, then electric field exists. Electric field exists between outer surface of inner cylinder A and inner surface of outer cylinder B. Electric field exists between outer surface of inner cylinder and inner surface of outer cylinder from positive to negative. From positive to negative. From positive to negative. And so on from positive to negative. Like this all around the inner cylinder, electric field is directed outward. Of course, you can show the cross-sectional area like this. This is cross-sectional area of cylinder B. This is cross-sectional area of cylinder A, and electric field is directed. Charge is distributed. Okay, here induced charge minus, minus, minus. So this is electric field. Okay, from the surface of outer surface of inner sphere and inner surface of outer sphere. Again, our purpose is satisfied. Now here electric field is bounded. Electric field is bounded in the region or space between outer surface of inner sphere, outer surface of inner sphere, and inner surface of outer sphere. Electric field is bounded, so energy is bounded. So now we can store energy in this region, and we may release energy at once when it is required. This is very important. Electric field exists between outer surface of inner sphere and inner surface of outer sphere. This is the concept. Okay. Now it is very easier to calculate capacitance. Okay. Will I erase it now? We got the electric field. Okay. Let's consider any point P. Let's consider any point P at a distance r from the axis, common axis of the cylinders. Let's consider any point P at a distance r from the common center. Okay, just recall. Electric field at a distance r. Suppose this is a linear object of infinite length, and uniform charge density is lambda. Lambda is equal to Q by L. Then electric field at a distance r. So what do we do? Imagine a Gaussian surface. Okay. Imagine a Gaussian surface of radius of cross-sectional area is r. So imaginary Gaussian surface means cylindrical Gaussian surface around a linear charge. Okay. Imagine here a small area dA, and electric field is also outward E. So angle between E and dA is 0 degree. Okay. So E dot dA is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times of charge inside. But charge is lambda is charge per unit length. Charge is lambda into length. So E integrating E dot dA means E A cos 0. E dA cos 0, integration of dA is A, that's equals to Q inside divided by epsilon naught. Then electric field, area of curved surface, if you consider this length is L. Length is infinite, we do consider only length L, and radius is R. Then area of curved surface is 2 pi RL, that's equals to Q inside by epsilon naught. So electric field E into 2 pi RL, Q inside is lambda into L divided by epsilon naught. Lambda into L, Q inside, charge density, linear charge density into length. So L get cancelled, and solving we will get electric field is lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught r. This is formula for electric field for linear charge density lambda at a distance r, as we have already discussed on the Gauss law. Okay, we'll use it now. Okay. So here, electric field at a distance r, the same thing. Electric field at a distance r is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught r. Electric field inversely proportional to distance for linearly charged conductors. Okay. For linearly charged conductor, this is the electric field. Then what is capacitance of the system? Capacitance of the system is charge required per unit rise in potential. Charge required per unit rise in potential, what we have already discussed. So here Q is equal to lambda into L. Q is equal to lambda into L divided by potential difference or unit rise in potential. Is it clear? Okay. Then capacitance is lambda L divided by delta V. Delta V means potential difference. So see, the surface of inner cylinder is at positive potential. Outer surface of the inner cylinder is positively charged, means at higher potential, and inner surface of outer sphere is negative, means negatively charged. So it is at lower potential. Okay. Then as we know potential difference is E dot dl, integration of E dot dl. So if you consider only magnitude, then it is integration of E dl cos 0, no need to take negative. Okay, cos 0 is 1, no need to take negative. So delta V is equal to E, in place of E, dl, this is dl, let's take here dr. Distance is r, let's take dr. So integration of electric field, we got the electric field lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught r into dr. So delta V is equal to, bring constants outside, lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught integration of 1 by r into dr. So limit is inner radius is r1, outer radius is r. Inner radius is r1, outer radius is r2. Okay. Now I will erase it. Okay. Then now solving. Delta V is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught. Integration of 1 by r into dr, you know, it is log r, take base c, and limit varies from r1 to r2. So inner radius is r1 and outer radius is r. Is it clear? Then delta V is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into log r2 minus log r1, and finally delta V is lambda divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into log E r2 by r. This is formula for potential difference or unit rise in potential. Now we'll return back to our formula. Okay. Then the final step, see, we'll use this formula. Then capacitance is lambda L divided by potential difference. Lambda L divided by potential difference. Here, the cylinders are of infinite length. We can't calculate capacitance of a system of cylinders for infinite length, but what we will calculate? Capacitance per unit length. Capacitance per unit length. So we will take C by L. C by L. Capacitance per unit length will come lambda divided by delta. So delta we got. So lambda divided by delta V means lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught into log R2 by R1. Lambda gets cancelled, and final formula for capacitance per unit length is 2 pi epsilon naught divided by log E R2 by R1. This is our formula, final formula for capacitance per unit length using two concentric cylinders. Inner cylinder is charged and outer cylinder is earthed. Okay. This is about lecture number 20. I hope you have understood well. Okay. Again we will meet with some good concepts in next lecture 21. Thanks children. Thanks for your sincere support. Thanks.